Story 1. I had to have a magnetic resonance imaging scan of my head about 6 months into dating a woman. When I got home, I found a handmade card that read, "Sorry you had to get your big-ass head scanned in a little metal tube," along with some candy and takeout. I married her earlier this year. I love her sense of humor. Story 2. A short story. My girlfriend knows I'm lactose intolerant. 6 months into our relationship, she asked me to grab something from her purse. I noticed lactate pills and asked if she was lactose intolerant. She said no. She keeps them for me in case I need them. I felt very loved and seen. That simple gesture made me love her more. Story 3. I love when people get excited about their interests. Curiosity is one of the most attractive traits to me. When someone speaks passionately about a hobby, I am transfixed. Story 4. It's when she's genuinely supportive without making it a competition. Story 5. She can have respectful, tough discussions without becoming defensive or blaming you. Story 6. My wife loves when I spend time with friends or pursue a hobby I enjoy. She finds joy in my happiness, and I cannot express how much I love her for that. I was previously in a 15-year marriage where the worst thing I could do was be happy. Story 7. I want someone willing to hold my hand through dark mental times without judging me for showing emotion. I do not want to be criticized for crying at sad movies, shows, books, and so on. It frustrates me that men are discouraged from expressing any emotion other than anger. Story 8. Shows genuine excitement when around you and consistently puts forth effort. Story 9. My girlfriend, now my wife of 11 years, could tell early on how depressed I was and helped me confront it without doing the work for me, instead letting me know she would be there every step of the way. I remember one particularly bad night when she simply asked, "Water or woods?" and took me to a forest to look at the full moon and talk. I had felt alone for much of my life, and suddenly someone saw me and made me feel worthwhile. Story 10. Her intentions toward others are positive unless given a reason not to be. Story 11. The way she speaks to waiting staff or other service industry workers on a date is a strong indicator of her character. Story 12. We are proud of you. We talk about you, celebrate you, and support you. Story 13. A lack of entitlement and kindness toward everyone who deserves it. Story 14. If she values your emotions, is sad when you cry, and wants to do everything to help you, you have found a good one. Story 15. I would say consistency. Someone who stays true to their values and morals regardless of the situation or who they are with. For me, it would be impossible to fully trust someone who presents different versions of themselves to different people. There is no faster way to lose all attraction than to see a person's words and actions are incongruent. Even the things you once liked about them can make you dislike them now because you know it is a false persona. Story 16. That she actually likes you. Maybe it's because I was religious growing up, and I fell into this trap too. I knew many people, especially women, who wanted to get married and had a picture of what married life should look like. They chose partners based on that image rather than whether they actually enjoyed being around the person. There were many terrified of being single at 30 and "this guy I don't have feelings for asked me out" scenarios. The results are predictable. It is less common now, but still frequent. If you have ever wondered where the "do you even like your spouse" jokes and the endless posts about sexless or miserable marriages come from, this is it. Story 17. Kindness to strangers is underrated. If she treats the waiter or cashier with respect, it shows that kindness is not just for show. Story 18. I have been married 40 years. The answer is a sense of humor. When everything comes crashing down, a sense of humor will carry you through the darkest days. Through health crises, military life, loss of loved ones, and anything you can imagine, the ability to cope with humor has made life a little easier. A partner who shares your sense of humor is priceless. Story 19. I would say a woman who is kind to other women and does not view them as a threat. I always appreciate someone who lifts others up. Story 20. She is more like your best friend, one you happen to have sex with, rather than just a girlfriend. Even if she is not into your hobbies, she will at least try to show interest. Bonus points if she becomes genuinely excited and tells you how cute you are when you really get into something. Story 21. a dark sense of humor while still maintaining good mental health. Story 22. She makes you smile. You feel good at the thought of seeing her again. If you do not feel these things, you should move on. Story 23. She values her time, hobbies, and friendships outside our romantic relationship. Story 24. I knew I was going to marry my girlfriend, whom I lived with, when my mother took ill and had to move in with us. She was 100% fine with it. Even when it involved home dialysis, vomiting, caring for my mother, ambulances, and hospital visits, she never complained, not once. My mother passed away after a few months, and I proposed shortly after. We had a daughter together. My greatest sorrow is that my mother never got to meet her. They would have been best friends. I know them both well and am completely certain of that. That was 25 years ago. I am still happily married. And yes, I am crying as I write this. Story 25. I was traveling for work to a city I had not been to and planned to be there for a while. I did what people did in the late aughts and checked the Craigslist personals. I met a woman and we had a nice date. We ended up doing a few casual things like going to a bar and spending time at my hotel. About 10 days into my stay, I got a nasty case of strep throat. I felt terrible in an unfamiliar city and had to cancel our plans. She brought me a homemade meal, a pork chop, vegetables, a drink, and a bag of medicine from CVS Pharmacy, including amoxicillin intended for fish, which is the same medication humans take. She had been someone I met through Craigslist. She did not have to do that and did not owe me anything. 15 years later, she is lying next to me in our bed, cuddling our cat. Story 26. They are chill and flexible. They laugh easily but not disingenuously. Story 27. I seek a woman who initiates warm, friendly, playful, flirtatious banter with a smile or who reciprocates my efforts. Mutual attraction, chemistry, a similar sense of humor, compatibility in and out of bed, and shared values matter most. Story 28. The moment you start telling her about your ambitions and dreams, her eyes light up and she instantly comes up with ideas to help you reach your goals. Story 29. She does things for me without being asked or expected. 45 years and counting. I don't know how I was so lucky to marry her. I do the same random things for her. It's become our affectionate little game. Story 30. Us versus the problem mentality. Also known as approaching conflicts together, it means that instead of blaming either person for issues that will inevitably arise, she communicates in a way that focuses on the issue and on how you can work together to solve it. Story 31. Don't get extremely upset over small disagreements or expect your partner to be perfect. My wife and I each have flaws. We understand that and work together to improve every day. Expecting perfection will quickly cause problems and pain in a relationship. Story 32. She has control over her emotions. She can go for a walk or use healthy coping strategies when she is angry, upset, or depressed. Story 33. I straight up told her I came from a poor family. She told me she does not care. Story 34. She doesn't take herself too seriously. Being able to laugh at oneself or be self-deprecating shows self-awareness and a growth mindset. Story 35. There is no need in their heart to hide or keep things secret. Story 36. She will put her phone down when I'm trying to say something. Story 37. Eloquence, intelligence, and the ability to hold conversations on a variety of topics. Story 38. Reciprocate the effort and energy you invest in the relationship. Story 39. She is supportive, open to finding compromises, and communicates about them. She understands when she is wrong and apologizes sincerely. Bonus points if she has her own personality and hobbies that are not based around what you do. Story 40. I love dogs and the Harry Potter books. I am laughing out loud. Story 41. Clear and open communication is important. Many people, especially younger people, confuse this with constant communication. We do not need to communicate around the clock or send very long text messages back and forth when something is wrong. I appreciate when a woman is upfront, direct, and cordial about her wants, needs, and feelings. Story 42. They do not view you as lesser when you open up to them. Story 43. She is not ashamed of her past and does not hide anything. Story 44. She is enthusiastic about spending time together early on, and she is reliable and responsive. Story 45. I notice when their excitement at seeing me does not match my energy level. When they open the door and are genuinely happy to see me even though I feel low and cannot cook, plan a fun day, or put in the effort, it feels good. Genuine joy at seeing me even when I am not the one creating it is comforting. It is nice to be wanted, even if I am not actively trying to make someone want me. Story 46. She is interested in your hobbies, even when you talk about them, however nerdy they are. Story 47. She does not worry if I am out doing something without her. Story 48. Ability to listen passively when her partner is venting or communicating with her. Story 49. My Dungeons and Dragons group meets once a month. My girlfriend asks which Saturday the game is that month and plans around it. She tried sushi because I love it, but she does not like it. She went with me to an all-you-can-eat place and tried a piece of everything I ordered. The waitress walked over and said they were only charging for one roll for her because she had hardly eaten. I got her a cheeseburger on the way home. I took her to a fondue place because that is her favorite, and it turned out I loved it too. We like many of the same things, but when I crave sushi, she tells me to go with friends. She will always try new things, even if she thinks she will not like them. Story 50. Hey, babe, come look at this bird. She actually wants to see it. Story 51. When she has a nice, genuine smile and doesn't seem manipulative in any way. Story 52. You can tell her things, but she will not gossip about you to others. Story 53. I just started dating a woman from the office. She brought me leftover food she had made the night before. I did not ask. Felt nice in a simple but unforgettable way. Story 54. Being genuinely clever and funny matters. A woman can be a 6 physically, but if she is hilarious, she becomes extremely attractive. It is important. Story 55. This goes for everyone, I think, but only when her exes are not a collection of current enemies. Story 56. She makes you feel heard. She is there for you when things do not go your way. She can admit when she is wrong, and I am willing to admit when I am wrong too. Bonus if she appreciates dark humor. Story 57. Listen and respond as if I am an equal. I do not want to be worshipped, baited, or patronized, and I do not want feigned enthusiasm or indifference to what I am saying. I want someone to be present and communicate clearly. Story 58. I once thought women had green flags. It turned out they were just unripe red flags. Takes time to find that out. Story 59. She leans into conflict with curiosity and vulnerability. Martyrdom, passive aggression, and codependent communication patterns are profoundly toxic and are often deeply baked into relationships. After several relationships marked by the phrases "look what you made me do" and "oh, so what you are saying is," you finally meet someone who looks after your emotional safety in conflict and expects you to do the same for them. The attachment that comes from that is beyond words. Story 60. When you ask what she wants to eat, she immediately has an answer. Story 61. Taking accountability after getting caught lying. So I'd say honesty. Story 62. I call it loyalty, but I mean trust, responsiveness, rationality, clear communication, and not playing games. If I am my true self around her and she shows these traits as loyalty, then the relationship will be strong. Story 63. They will comfort me when I am upset and accommodate my autism. Story 64. She takes responsibility for her own happiness. Story 65. She makes life better and easier instead of the other way around. Do not stay with someone who is not pleasant most of the time. Story 66. Supporting and tolerating each other's hobbies is probably the most important. Understand that you do not have to be interested in her hobbies as long as you are supportive and tolerant of them. I should be able to play on my phone or Nintendo Switch if she is watching Love Island or something I have no interest in, just as I would be fine with her playing on her phone while I am watching football. A second important green flag is being content with the small things. Most single women my age list travel as their main interest, which is fun, But in this economy, it is too expensive for me to do more than once or twice a year at most. Be content with movie nights, trips to the park, and spending time together. Story 67. Confidence, especially about her body. Nothing beats a woman who is proud of herself. Story 68. She has her life together, is organized, punctual, and neatly dressed. She has a warm, genuine smile, is intelligent and well-educated, is easygoing, likes to laugh, and has a good sense of humor. She gives the overall impression of being awake and interested in the world and its people, not a jaded person who stares at her phone all day. Story 69. She allows you to be childish and does not treat it as an insult. Story 70. She is straightforward and does not turn everything into a mind game. Story 71. A smile may be different for everyone, but it is an open door to who they are. Story 72. When we first started dating, my wife made the ridiculous comment I had been thinking of saying. I had held off because I did not want to scare her away. Story 73. Genuine kindness. You can almost always tell when someone is being fake nice, and that is a huge red flag. Story 74. Many people mention being able to admit faults or apologize, being upfront about needs and wants, and having respectful but difficult discussions. Much of that can be grouped under emotional maturity. It is important in healthy, mature relationships. I have only been with 2 women who had that quality. Other factors are involved, but I would rank emotional maturity as my #1 trait. Story 75. Apologizing when someone loses their cool matters. Everyone has their moments. Recognizing this and taking responsibility says a lot about a person. This definitely goes both ways. Story 76. I am interested in my success. If you want to see me succeed, I will make sure you succeed as well. Story 77. Seeing how she treats people she doesn't want something from. Story 78. She isn't Instagram ready. She would rather be a real person than a fake social media persona. Story 79. A girl who has her own life, career, and can take care of herself. Someone who wants you but doesn't need you. Story 80. Calm and easygoing. I let things go. My current girlfriend gets upset over small things, which is exhausting. An easygoing partner makes life much easier. Story 81. Not being hung up on all the societal expectations perpetuated by social media. Story 82. Setting boundaries with male friends works both ways. Men should have boundaries with their female friends as well. Story 83. I think I had been dating my wife for 3, maybe 4 weeks, and we were watching a documentary about birds. The baby birds were leaving the nest for the first time. Some did not manage to fly and smashed against rocks on the way down. I was tearing up. She did not get the ick. Story 84. How she speaks of her exes is important. If you find a woman who does not speak ill of her exes, it is a green flag, although there are a few exceptions. Story 85. Good communication and respect. She says thank you when I do things for her and says sorry when she is wrong. All of these obviously work both ways, but I do not think women realize how much being grateful and offering sincere apologies means to a man. It makes me want to do anything for her because she is my biggest fan and she is not arrogant. Story 86. You can be vulnerable without concern that it will be used against you later. She clearly prioritizes you and the relationship over winning or judging you for having emotions. Story 87. This is just me, but I value intelligence and passion. I want someone who has their life together, is emotionally mature, and communicates well. I don't care if she doesn't look 10 out of 10, as long as she meets my threshold for attractiveness. Maybe I'm asking for too much or not enough, but those qualities are sufficient for me to consider dating her seriously and possibly marrying her someday. Story 88. Watching my girlfriend take care of her niece sealed the deal for me. Story 89. I have told this before, but it happened 7 years ago. I was anxious and needed to pee when I picked her up for our first date. I asked if I could use her bathroom before we left and she said of course. She apologized if it was messy because she shared the house with several other people, including 2 men. I went in and found a Lego pirate ship on the back of the toilet. Afterward, I asked if it belonged to a roommate and she said proudly, "No, it is mine. We will be celebrating 33 years of marriage in November." Story 90. The first time I hung out at my now wife's place, she opened her laptop, said, "Oh, check this out," and played an episode of Salad Fingers. Story 91. Honestly, my standards are pretty low. I was taking stock of what I look for in a woman, and it was basically someone I can respect. Someone who likes me for who I am, nerdy hobbies and all. Someone who is on board with affectionate physical contact in a relationship. Someone I find attractive. I do not prefer people who are extremely thin, and I do not want to be with someone who is overweight to the point of health risks or mobility problems. Story 92. A few weeks ago, I mentioned how much I love grilled green olives from a particular deli in town. Today, I came over for dinner and the salad had those exact olives. I was happy to realize she had paid attention and made the effort, and she was pleased I noticed. That is a huge green flag for me. There are other things I could mention, but it is fresh in my mind. Story 93. When you two disagree and she is not disrespectful. Story 94. My father was not an overly affectionate man. He was very stoic, but he loved my wife and appreciated when we all got together. They bonded over lottery tickets. "This is my stack of tickets and this is yours. Don't mix them. And you owe me $3 for the tickets I bought." Even though they both had plenty of money, the biggest green flag was when my dad was dying of cancer and was bedridden. His skin was so dry that my wife would bring lotion and rub it into his feet, arms, and so on. She took great care of him. It was the sweetest thing I have ever seen. Story 95. Being financially literate does not mean she needs to make a lot, but she understands that you need to live on less than you make. Story 96. Notice how she treats others, whether her boss, a waiter, a cashier, or a friend. Story 97. During a crisis, she remains calm and helps determine what to do next. That matters to me because it shows I can count on her to be my partner and face life's challenges instead of panicking, shutting down, and leaving me to pick up the pieces. Story 98. Her finances are in order. This also applies to men. Story 99. Giving someone the look when you are together. Responding to texts within a few minutes consistently. Story 100. Takes exceptional care of animals. Massive green flag. Story 101. When I had to put my cat down, I told my then girlfriend that I would be fine and that she did not need to come with me. She showed up anyway and held me while I cried. She is now my wife. Story 102. I met a girl in college and we became friends. In our group, I usually drove, and she was the only one who ever offered me gas money. When I said it was unnecessary, she slipped it into my glove box anyway. One day, I told her I was having a hard time and it was keeping me from registering for classes, so I needed to take a walk to cool down. When I got back, she had registered for me. After that, I was hooked. We have been married 14 years and have 4 children now. It was the best choice I ever made. Looks, charm, achievement, fun, and even mental and physical health can change or fade. Kindness and consideration, however, tend to deepen over time. Story 103. I married my high school girlfriend 40 years after we broke up. She won me over again. She is brilliant, beautiful, and kind. Story 104. She barely looks at her phone when you are spending time together or out for dinner. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.